My philosopher is Horace Mann, who was also referred to as the leader of the Common School movement. Horace Mann faced many controversial issues that also raised questions in contemporary American society, including religion in schools and immigration during his time. The United States is under continuous struggle and constant change. As the nation grew in prosperity, the social order was more recognized. Horace Mann's career goals started during his foundation as a child and his educational background and work experiences, which eventually led to his concept of the common school. Mann's early life consisted of hard work on the family farm in a tightly knit community, which strongly upheld their political beliefs and the importance of religion. He was one of 5 children and was born in Franklin, Massachusetts. He grew up as a farm boy, and the Manns were a farming family, and the children at an early age were expected to perform chores. Mann recalled a childhood dominated by hard work and regular church attendance. Growing up as a farm boy in rural Massachusetts had a formative effect on Mann. Doing chores gave Mann and other children of his generation a direct, purposeful, and meaningful work. They did not have to read about work because they learned by doing. Mann attended Franklin's local town school, which helped to shape his educational attitudes. Mann's early educational experiences, attending a locally governed and tax-supported school, formed his initial ideas about schooling. His educational and work experiences helped place him in the perfect position to make valuable changes related to common schools. The values that Mann wanted common schools to implant in young children originated from his own moral upbringing. Mann attended Brown University when he was 20 years old and graduated from Brown as first in his class in 1819. His undergraduate speeches and essays embodied a firmly held American exceptionalism, a theme he would reiterate in his later arguments for common schools. It was during his time at Brown he took an interest in politics, education, and social reform. Mann started studying law and practiced law from 1823 to 1837. He earned a reputation as an outstanding orator and lawyer, made many prominent friends, and prepared for a political career. He was attracted to politics and was elected to the Massachusetts General Court in 1827, and later elected to the Senate for a 4-year term in 1833. While Mann served in the Senate, the Massachusetts education system, with a history going back to 1647, was suffering, and the quality of education was deteriorating. As a Whig politician, Mann supported social and educational reforms such as temperance, penal reform, women's rights, abolition of slavery, care for the mentally ill, and support of common schools. Mann argued that the common school, a free, universal, non-sectarian, and public institution, was the best means of achieving the moral and socioeconomic uplift of all Americans. The reform movement he led sought to create the virtuous Republican citizenry needed to sustain American political institutions, the educated workforce required to expand the American economy, and the disciplined generation necessary to forestall the social disorders so common in American cities in the decades before the Civil War. Mann was known throughout the state for his leadership on educational issues and later resigned from the state Senate to start his new job as the Secretary of the Board of Education. It was not until he became the Secretary of the newly created Board of Education of Massachusetts that he began the work, which was soon to place him at the foremost rank of American educators. He held this position until 1848 and worked with a remarkable intensity. He was holding teacher conventions, delivering numerous lectures and addresses, carrying on an extensive correspondence, introducing numerous reforms, planning and inaugurating the Massachusetts normal school system, and founding and editing the Common School Journal, as well as preparing a series of annual reports which had a wide circulation and are still considered as being among the best expositions, if indeed they are not the very best ones, of the practical benefits of a common school education both to the individual and to the state. Mann's surveys on the conditions of schools could be used to influence and shape the course of educational legislation, especially school reforms. His concept of the common school was affected by his career as a lawyer, politician, instructor, and finally, Secretary of the Board of Education. Mann's career as a lawyer and politician shaped his belief that the common school was directly related to civic competency and to public service. He organized institutes for teachers in service and normal schools for those in training. He subscribed to the Whig ideology that public education could be an agency for national economic development and civic order. His concept of the common school rested on the Republican ideal that the best society was one in which people governed themselves through elected officials and representative institutions. Mann did not want to segregate students according to socioeconomic status. He saw the U.S. Common School as an integrative social agency for bringing children of different social and economic classes and religions together in one institution. He believed that the Common School curriculum should provide the same basic knowledge and skills equally to all its students. Mann also developed some influential, yet controversial, main principles regarding public education, and its troubles identified as Mann's 6 principles of education. Those included are: citizens cannot maintain both ignorance and freedom. This education should be paid for, controlled, and maintained by the public. This education should be provided in schools that embrace children from varying backgrounds. This education must be non-sectarian. This education must be taught using tenets of a free society, and this education must be provided by well-trained professional teachers. He faced many issues that also affect contemporary American society today. He sought to universalize the values and beliefs of the mainstream Protestant middle class of the North. Mann left his mark on the public school system through his contribution to education and the notion that teaching needs professional preparation. He was a significant leader in the development of American public schools. One of Mann's quotes states that education, then, beyond all other devices of human origin, is the great equalizer of the conditions of men. It's the balance wheel of the social machinery.